Here's the thing. I love indie dramas as much as the next person, but this particular one did not really need to be released theatrically. I do not believe that this is worth the price of admission because there are just so many problems with it. Here is my review of the new crime drama, Delia's Gone. So this film has a really great cast. You have Marisa Tomei, Stephen James, Paul Walter Hauser, and so many more. The log line is on IMDb is a convicted man embarks on a journey of violence and redemption to find out the truth about his sister's death. I think the concept is great. It was the execution that I think fails this story because it's a great idea. So Stephen James plays Lewis, who is on the spectrum. He has autism, and he is an adult with autism. And his sister took care of him. His sister is played by Janelle Williams. Her name's Delia. She's the key role, right? And so she has been taking care of him since their parents are gone. The parents are no longer living. So she's been taking care of her brother and has even been robbing this convenience store to get his prescriptions because they are so expensive. But she needs a break. She wants to leave town to get a job and feels like he is independent enough or could be independent enough to take care of himself. You know, they have this house, he can take care of himself and so forth. Well, she wants to go out and celebrate this new job opportunity. He doesn't. He has this strict regimen that he wants to stick to. So she sneaks out anyway. But while she's gone, something happens. But he goes to sleep, and when he awakens in the morning, his sister Delia is on the kitchen floor in her own pool of blood. And he goes to her aid and gets blood on his hands, and two cops show up to his doorstep because they wanted to come ask Delia some questions about the convenience store robbery. Now, that's not a spoiler because that is in the trailer. Lewis is very confused. He believes that he did something to his sister. When he was arguing with her before she snuck out of the house, he pushed her. He got a little violent, pushed her, and thinks that that push caused her death. He's very confused. Again, he is autistic, or has autism rather, and so he thinks that he caused her to die. And so he ends up pleading guilty to her death. He is sentenced to 7 years, I believe it is. And then once he is released, he goes to this outpatient mental facility voluntarily. And then he gets a visitor. And this is where the story really starts spiraling out of control. It doesn't make any sense. I think the screenwriter lost control of the larger idea because the cop, Marisa Tomei, is a sheriff, or was. She has been demoted since his arrest, since Lewis's conviction. Now Paul Walter Hauser's character is the sheriff, but Marisa Tomei has a brother who has some involvement in what happened to Delia, and he visits Lewis at this mental facility and all but confesses to knowing what actually happened to Delia. Also, pieces of that in the trailer. But it begins to fall out because this is too convenient. This is too convenient. First, like, would this really happen? And this character isn't even all that convicted at this point in the story. He doesn't, there's no motivation behind him really confessing this to Lewis, knowing that he isn't all there. And then the story again continues to spiral into this unreasonable convenience that just, I mean, it really takes you out of the story. You end up not rooting for anyone. And by the third act, you give up completely. You give up on this story. The dialogue is so bad. The dialogue is bad. And Marisa Tomei is a police officer, and Paul Walter Hauser is the sheriff. Yes, they're in different jurisdictions at this time, but they're cops. They are so behind Stephen James' character. They are so far behind, but not because they don't understand how to ascertain Lewis, but because they need the story to unfold for this character. So they waste time doing other things, talking about irrelevant things for the most part, because just so that Lewis can get further along in the story. Lewis has the opportunity to go to these different places to figure out what happened to Delia. It's very, very strange. It's just bad writing. I mean, great idea, but the writing is bad. The score, it was so frustrating. The score, some of the score is fine, but there is this one piece of music that is so, this is a crime drama, not much crime. It's really a drama. And this score, this piece of music is whimsical. I mean, it is so out of place. It does not belong in this movie at all. It was so strange. I was looking around to see if the other two people in the theater felt that it was strange. That felt so strange. It didn't make any sense. And then there's this awkward dance number between Marisa Tomei's character and Paul Walter Hauser's character. And they're supposed to be investigating this crime, and they just break out into this really weird dance. It looked like it was an outtake that remained in the movie. This film is so unprofessional and unserious. It is so unfortunate. I mean, grossly, grossly unserious. And the worst of all, absolute worst of all, is that Stephen James' character has this awkward walk. He walks. It seemed tropian, as if it seemed like kind of like a trope, in that they felt like this is how this autistic character would walk, that he would walk like this bumbling, like his boots were oversized, and then he just had this sort of rocking walk about him. And I said, okay, let's overlook it. But Marisa Tomei also has this awkward walk and stance, and it felt gimmicky. It just felt wrong for them both to have this walk. Hers specifically was just, it just seemed unnecessary. I mean, it's really, really bad. And that's so sad, because you have so much great talent in this film. At any rate, thank you so much. If you stuck around this long, I certainly appreciate you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, peace.